Speaking
just
of
craziness going on with the Niners too. Like you also have them coming off a Super Bowl loss, and then they've been you've had a bunch of things going on within
I had a
the
question about
entire
that.
organization. Go
I had a
ahead.
question about that. So you have when you're consistent like that, what they've been. We've seen them in the Super Bowl. We've seen them in the NFC Championship multiple times, and we see them in the Super Bowl again. When you have an organization that's on a run like this, people have to get paid. There's going to be people who want to get paid and don't have the opportunity. There's going to be people who hit free agency and go to other teams. There's going to be guys who actually do get paid. There's a lot of ups and downs, a lot of crazinesses in organizations like this. I want to speak more to the mindset of players. When you lose a Super Bowl, you had an opportunity, y'all lost to the Philadelphia Eagles, and then y'all came back the following year and won the Super Bowl versus the Rams. What is the mind? How do you go about doing that? Because we're seeing a lot of craziness going on with the 49ers, and sometimes when you come off a loss or you've been on this run, you can start to have like a tailspin where because you on top of the world, but then there's all different things going on. How do you stay focused in a time like that? Now, granted, you had Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, but what is the mindset of a player or in the locker room, or even maybe what the coaches were telling you when you've been on a run like this and you lose a Super Bowl and you get over that hump? Like, what do the 49ers have to do to get over that hump and move past this?
Yeah, that's a really good question and conversation. I mean, what goes to mind was in 2017 when we lost to the Eagles 41-33 in Minnesota. It also sucked that we were in Minnesota, right? It's super cold after the game. That made it probably even worse. But just thinking back and going through that process of how tired you are to like get all the way and to lose that and have another opposing colors of confetti fall on you is not a good feeling. And then going into another season, like, man, we got to do this all over again. It's mentally challenging, especially when you've won before and when during that dynasty period, they're going to the AFC Championship or the Super Bowl every year. Think about all of those miles that have been put on players that are extra because you're playing longer into the season, and mentally it's a grind. And then to mentally refocus for a whole new year, I believe that's kind of why the Chiefs start off a little bit slow, because I feel like that is like that. I know in New England, we started off slow every year. That following year in 2018, we started off really slow. I remember going to Detroit where Matty P took over Detroit at the time, Matt Patricia, and they beat the brakes off us in Detroit, and they weren't that great, but they whooped us that, and it was like, oh man, what are we doing? And it was kind of a grind like that for a while until it's funny, until it got really serious to playoff contention. And then it was like, all right, we need to fix what we need to fix. And then we turned it on, and then we have one of the greatest upsets ever in NFL history going to the Chiefs at the time with that high-powered offense with Tyreek and a young Patrick, Sammy Watkins, a lot of good players, a young Travis Kelce. And, you know, I think of what can you do is you got to have leaders. The leaders have to step up. I know Fred Warner's a great leader there. I see him not. He wants to win. I talk to him all the time. We talk about winning. That's all he has left on his resume as being a Hall of Famer. He just needs to win the big game to just solidify that spot even more. And I think they had the same thing similar to when I was in New England. They had a defensive coordinator coaching change. Matty P left, and then Brian Flores took over for us. So there was that going through the season and learning a new system, kind of new plays and a different style of football that ended eventually getting us over the top in those big games, which paid off dividends. So they have a lot of similarities to when I was playing in a dynasty or a team that was consistently ready to play in the show every year. And it's going to take a lot of effort. And I'm going to go with too, like I saw Manti Te'o on NFL Network talk about they look tired. You don't see the same energy and whatnot. But
Mm-hmm.
my rebuttal to that would be, because I also agreed with him, is that they know what it takes. They're a veteran
sure.
group, and I think they know that their window is closing. And I think that this year is huge for the Niners. Like, I think after this year, they're going to have to make drastic changes in their players and whatnot. I would love to hear your thoughts on it, of what you think about the Niners. Like, they've been in the NFC Championship or the Super Bowl the last years. Like, what do you think their mentality is? Besides, do you think this is kind of like the Michael Jordan, even though they haven't won championships? I totally get that. I'm just talking about the mentality that this is the last dance for them, because they are getting older. That core that they have is getting older.
Yeah, I think that they understand that. Like I said, me and Trent are the same draft class. So they understand he's getting older. He understands he's getting older. That's why he wants to get his money now. But I also believe they know, like, everybody's catching up. And the things that they've been doing and getting away with, people know now. And that's what happens, is you can't do the same things over and over again in this league and be successful. You have to find new ways to be yourself. You have to reinvent yourself, find new ways to be yourself. And I think that people are catching up to the 49ers, which is why we'll get into it later. But I have them winning the division, but I do not have them getting all the way to the Super Bowl, due to a lot of all of this that we've been talking about and all of this craziness that they have going on. And
I also think they have a tough division too. I think people are sleeping on the Seahawks with the new coach, Mike McDonald. That defense looks such improved from last year to this year, and people been sleeping on Geno Smith. He's got weapons up there. They got Kenneth Walker running the ball. I like them to be competitive up there. And then you can't count out the Rams. I mean, Sean McVay has that team ready to go. They have some young draft picks on that defensive side. Matthew Stafford looked like an MVP last year, and then nobody's talking about him.
They
less than Geno Smith is Kyler Murray down in Arizona.
They are acting like Kyler Murray and Rodney Harrison Jr. do not exist.
Yeah,
that's a mistake.
Marvin Harrison.
Marvin Harrison Jr. We gonna get that right. Forgive Gerald. Marvin Harrison Jr. Forgive me. But they're acting like Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kyler Murray do not exist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.